In this video we will address a subscriber question. Look at the beautiful sun. And that question is, in your experience, because I have an Irish Staffordshire Bull&Terrier, what is the difference between an Irish Staffordshire Bull&Terrier and a show or more sporting event derived Staffordshire Bull&Terrier of non-performance lines in the Netherlands? First of all, it's important to know that it's rather hard to talk on the individual level, because there always can be some changes between one and another, whereas a breed altogether or a specific line altogether can give you more insight. But yeah, it is what it is. So that being said, there might be some show Staffordshire Bull-Terriers that have similar traits, of course, and there might be some performance line Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terriers that don't have the traits that I mentioned. So without further ado, let's get into this. And the first thing to note is that relative to the weight, the Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terriers are higher on their paws, so their height of the withers is a lot higher. And another thing is, this is not an Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terrier, but it illustrates the same, because it's also a working bred terrier, that you see that they have quite a good paw length, but also a good length in the back. So a longer back allows more room for the lungs, of course, a longer chest. So if you compare that to, for example, the Staffordshire Bull-Terrier show lines, they have more of a barrel chest. So less long and more round. And if you look at the front, also here you see that the chest is a little bit more narrow than it would be in the show version. And the show version wants to give the perception of a very broad looking dog, whereas here you can still see it being of good width, but not exaggerated that much. That being said, an Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terrier will be a little bit more solid in general than a Patterdale Terrier. So that's a little bit about appearance, but the most important difference is that Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terriers often have a different character. So they are extremely loyal to the family, also very playful with children. And I must say, also show Staffordshire Bull-Terriers can exert the same characteristics, but very often they are completely the opposite against same-sex other dogs. So an Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terrier, nice birds, would be very gentle in general with humans, especially his own family, but might be completely adverse of that against the same sex. So for example, male-males and female-female interactions. Dogs. My dog, for example, was very gentle with the children. They could even pull the tug of war out of his mouth, whereas if I would play with him, he would really hold on and try to just have a tug fast with me. And it's nice that they understand the difference between an able adult and children, to be very gentle with them. But also in dog interactions, if it was a pup or a female, even if the dog was, the pup was more than 1 year or 1.5 years, but of a giant breed, for example, and they mature slower, he would understand that and be very gentle with them. Also with females, very gentle with bitches, even if they draw blood on his neck or face, still be very gentle. But if it was another male, he was a male Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terrier, it would be completely different. extremely dominant, and also, yeah, just let it be pronounced, as they say, hell on four paws for another male. So that is something that you also need to keep in mind. The character of an Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier is far closer to the predecessor of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, being the Bull&Terrier working dog. It gives you a more pure experience. Goedemorgen. More pure experience, but also a much more serious type of dog. So you get a dog that is able to do sports much more, than a show version, because they are from performance stock. They have a lot more character, and it has two sides. One side is that you better take more precautions. For example, their character against the same sex individuals. But on the other hand, they will also be hard pressed. My dog was very hard pressed to be put off its place. So you have a very stable dog, but you can also predict very easily. I could already predict if it is a female, it would be very gentle, even if the female wasn't. Same with pups, very easy. But if it was another male, and the other guy would say, oh, let them just settle it among each other, or release your leash, and then it will be fine, I would know it would not be fine, of course. And some people think in stereotypes, and not even with a show version of Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I would not recommend this. Of course, their character can be a lot more watered down, because they were bred to look a certain way and also to be easier in the show ring. So a lot less character, so to say. That being said, if you want the pure experience, I think it will be very hard to find a better candidate than the Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And if you compare it to the more extreme Bull&Terrier derivative that is now present, the American Pit Bull Terrier, then they are, in my experience, a lot more laid back. So the American Pit Bull Terrier is a further evolved Bull&Terrier, but also often created on big yards with little attention to the individual dog, whereas the Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier was often part of the household and a much more family orientated dog, in my experience. I'm not saying that there are not very nice and good family dogs in American Pit Bull Terrier, even of working lines, but in general, and that's what also where I started, the American Pit Bull Terrier is, in my opinion, a less family orientated dog than the Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier is. And of course there's always overlap, but it's a little bit different way of creating this specific breed that has given a lot of small differences that can add up to the total picture. The Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier also comes in different lines. I had one from the most dominant and I think one of the best lines there is, being the Jocko line, which came down from Hagler, also known as Psycho. This line of dogs normally produces a white type of dog in general. My dog was also all white, like Jocko is or was. And and also in general quite big type of dogs. And I also liked, but I have limited experience with the Flanders Field Boys type of dogs, which are a little bit light in the bone in general, also often a little bit smaller. but also very friendly in general with their humans. Dublin Reds I had limited experience with as well, and I found them a little bit less human friendly, so to say. Not bad with humans, but different, I suppose, compared to the Hagler, Jocko type of dog, the white dog, so to say. So that's it is in a nutshell. And also, please, if you want an Irish Staffordshire Bull-Terrier, you might have a very good compromise between performance, athleticism, and also a dog that is easy to be kept as a family companion. But the most important thing is that you protect the dog against its drive, especially with other dogs of the same sex. And that could also be a burden, because as a result you will have to keep your dog leashed most of the time if it's able to interact with other dogs, or things can happen that you cannot anticipate it easily. It is important that you, as his owner, take responsibility and be a good advocate to the breed, instead of being irresponsible and just let your dog roam and have interactions that are not good for the dog or its name as a breed. Hope you like this video. Hope you also like this video as your subscriber request or a Stambor. Have a great day.